Amazing twist, a poor girl's blind date turns incredible when the CEO proposes after 3 days. Lucy Parker wiped down the counter at the diner, her mind drifting between the greasy plates and the textbook on nursing crammed into her bag. Blind date? No thanks, she scoffed at her best friend Mia, who suggested it with bright-eyed enthusiasm. Romance is a luxury I can't afford. Maintaining 2 part-time jobs and caring for her little brother and single mother left no room for daydreams. Lucy focused on her goals, a relentless march toward becoming a nurse. Nothing could divert her from that path. The thought of a romantic evening felt outrageous, as if she might drown in the whirlpool of someone else's expectations. What if it's someone special? Mia prodded. You never know. Lucy shook her head, forcing a smile. No man could comprehend the weight of her responsibilities. The fleeting fantasy of a gentleman whisking her away only felt like a diversion from reality. But Mia's incessant encouragement wore her down until, against her better judgment, Lucy reluctantly agreed. As the days approached, a gnawing anxiety formed in her chest, like an untended flame. What if he expected her to be someone she wasn't? The diner had its familiar smells and sounds, the late-night rush a cozy chaos. But with every new day, the fear of who she might encounter rose like a tide, threatening to pull her under. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The night arrived, and she found herself sitting across from Alex in a booth, the motion of the diner swirling around them. He was charming, disarming, and completely at ease, sending her instincts into overdrive. Their conversation was a mix of awkward laughter and personal revelations. The shadows of their plates clashed with the glow of their personalities, Lucy revealing snippets of her life while Alex opened up about his business endeavors. Their connection felt electric but dangerous, tugging at her heart with each honest exchange. Yet as they spoke, deeper doubts clawed at her gut. With every laugh, every shared dream, her family's warnings echoed in her head. Would they see a date with a CEO as an omen? Lucy battled the knot in her stomach, torn between the allure of stepping into Alex's world and the weight of her own humble upbringing. Would they dismiss a child of hardship, believing she harbored ambitions beyond her station, chasing glamour over grit? Days blurred into deeper conversations, walking the fine line of joy and apprehension until he surprised her with a proposal, an unsettling glimpse into a future she hadn't envisioned. Was she ready for the accusation of gold digging? Confusion and disbelief washed over her, reeling her thoughts into spirals. Could she accept someone so certain, knowing she stood on shaky ground? The tides of presumptions crashed in her mind, forcing her to wrestle with the idea of belonging, the need for acceptance, and the price of vulnerability. Alex's truth lingered in the air, an unfamiliar promise wrapped in velvet doubt. Did he know her worth? Eyes locked, held in that moment of choice, Lucy felt the precarious balance of love and ambition shift, placing her at a precipice where one misstep could send her tumbling back to safety, or into an uncharted abyss. Would she be brave enough to leap? Lucy stood at the crossroads of her existence, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. The weight of Alex's proposal hung heavily in the air, each word reverberating in her mind. Could she, Lucy Parker, a girl from a humble background, truly enter the world of a CEO? Her heart raced, not just from the prospect of love but from the terror of losing herself in an unfamiliar world. The only thing standing in your way is fear, she recalled Mia's words from weeks prior. But as Lucy faced Alex, she realized fear wasn't her only obstacle. It was her self-worth swirling in doubt. Part of her longed to accept the adventure, to embrace the terrifying possibilities. Another part felt anchored, shackled by her roots. A future with Alex could mean success, but at what cost to her identity? Lucy? Alex's voice broke through her turbulent thoughts. He was looking at her with a mixture of expectation and concern, as if he could sense the storm inside her. She needed to decide, not just for him, but for herself. What did she want? I'm not sure, she finally managed, her voice shaky but firm. This all feels so sudden. I have responsibilities, my brother, my mom. I can't just abandon everything for a fairy tale. The admission felt liberating. It forced her to acknowledge her life, the ambitions she nurtured alongside the burdens she carried. Alex leaned back, his expression shifting from anticipation to a thoughtful frown. Lucy, I admire your dedication. But obligations don't have to chain you down. You could thrive in this life if you choose to accept it. His words struck a chord, igniting a flicker of ambition in her chest. Was it possible? Could she balance her duties while exploring a future that included someone like Alex? Torn between the promise of something greater and her entrenched fears, she had to confront the fundamental beliefs she held about herself and what it meant to be successful. No longer just a waitress hustling to pay the bills, she was a woman who sought to carve out a space for herself in a world that seemed night to her day. But she couldn't leap blindly, she needed to learn more about Alex, his world, and, most importantly, herself. Days passed as she wrestled with the implications of their situation. Fear turned into determination. Lucy devoured books on personal development, attending workshops that expanded her mind beyond nursing while still juggling her shifts at the diner. Here, beneath the fluorescent lights and clattering dishes, she discovered hidden aspects of her personality, leadership qualities she never thought she possessed, resilience rooted firmly in the pain of her past. She started making plans, not just for the short-term future but for a career that intertwined her passion for nursing with ambitious dreams to advocate for healthcare changes. Then came the day Lucy found herself sitting in a conference room alongside Alex and his team, completely out of her comfort zone. The initial shock of stepping into an actual boardroom left her breathless. She swallowed her nerves, reminding herself of her purpose. She was no longer just Lucy the waitress. She was Lucy the advocate, ready to contribute her voice. Feeling a surge of empowerment, she raised her hand when a topic of medical outreach came up, sharing her insight from years of first-hand experience. Healthcare isn't just about the facilities, it's about accessibility, she asserted. Moments later, she felt eyes on her, not just Alex's, but from other executives reflecting respect. That flicker of recognition lit a flame of confidence incomprehensible to the girl she used to be. Leaving the meeting, she caught Alex's eye, a smile of pride on his face. In that brief moment, she saw what she could become. Yet, her own self-doubt still loomed in her heart like an undying shadow. As Lucy grappled with her transformative journey, she knew that within this new world came a deeper reckoning with the fear of losing herself, with each step feeling like a burgeoning butterfly that could easily be crushed beneath hard realities. Was she brave enough to let love flourish without sacrificing her identity? The future unspooled before her like an enigmatic map, taunting her with unknown territories and untested roads. The moment of choice loomed closer than ever. Would she forge ahead into the mystery, or would she fall back to the safety of the known? The question echoed in her mind, stirring anticipation, and the need for answers became urgent. What lay at the end of this newfound journey awaited discovery, and nothing could prepare her for what would come next. In the following weeks, Lucy felt life unfolding like a storybook, each chapter carrying with it the thrill of a new beginning yet fraught with the tension of the unknown. Alex had invited her to more meetings, more interactions with his corporate world, and each time was both a revelation and a trial. She would sit in a sea of tailored suits and polished shoes, feeling like a mismatched puzzle piece amid the perfectly fitted corporate landscape. Yet with every meeting, her confidence began to solidify, hardening into a resolve that started to redefine her understanding of success. Lucy's thoughts drifted in parallel to her growing ambition. During her night shifts at the diner, she would sometimes watch her colleagues, all hustling yet seemingly unaware of the breadth of opportunities that existed beyond their immediate reality. What if I could show them? What if I could signal that there's more for us? Those thoughts would slip under her skin, igniting both excitement and fear. She became increasingly aware that her journey didn't just extend to herself, it had the potential to ripple across the lives of those around her. This realization fueled her desire to bridge her humble beginnings with her aspirations in corporate life. Your experience matters, she whispered to herself ahead of another important meeting with Alex's team. You've got this. She turned the mantra over in her mind, threading it into her preparations like a lifeline. Each moment of doubt was countered with practice, reviewing her notes and crafting her points with precision. Sometimes, moments from her shifts would replay in her mind, insights about real healthcare issues sparking her advocacy. She could no longer separate her identity, they melded together into one purposeful mission. However, as her days expanded into a realm anchored in ambition, the weight of her unresolved fears lingered. The closer they grew, the louder her insecurities shouted. Would Alex still want her if he discovered the depth of her struggles? What if he saw her rooted uncertainty and recoiled? Those thoughts took residence in the quieter moments, lingering like shadows, whispering doubts in times of trepidation. It was then one afternoon when she found herself at the corner coffee shop that served as their semi-official meet-up point, she spotted Mia sitting at a table with a stack of notebooks spread wide before her. Lucy. Mia's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm as she waved her over, and Lucy instinctively felt the familiar weight of worry ease for just an instant. As they discussed the latest developments in both Lucy's journey and Mia's academic pursuits, Lucy shared snippets of her experiences and was met with palpable excitement. You have something rare, Lucy. Don't you see that? Most people don't get to choose their path, to forge a new identity. The words resonated like a siren song, tapping into the buried confidence that Lucy had cultivated. Could she truly embrace a new identity that included her profession, her aspirations, and even her relationship with Alex? That night, lying awake, wallowing in the possibilities, Lucy resolved to confront her fears. She decided not to wait for the right moment but to create it herself. She felt a shift, a decisive turn inward where ambition met urgency. The next morning brought with it an opportunity. During a meeting focused on a project involving healthcare accessibility, Lucy seized the moment. She requested to present her insights on the topic, tapping into her experiences in the medical field. As she shared her vision, she felt a sense of clarity wash over her. This was her moment to cultivate her authentic voice, and she knew she had to own it. The meeting ended with enthusiastic nods, and amidst the applause, Lucy found a surprising resolve blooming in her chest. She caught Alex's eye, he appeared effused with pride mirrored back at her. Yet, the fear of vulnerability still prickled at her skin. What if this newfound bravery only served to expose her insecurities even further? As she walked out of the conference room, that lingering question pulsed with fresh intensity. Could she continue to express not just her brilliant ideas but the deep-seated doubts she still grappled with? She felt unsteady at the precipice of this dilemma. What other truths about her capabilities and fears lay waiting to be unearthed in this daunting yet consuming quest to define herself? The atmosphere crackled with uncertainty as she stepped forward. Would these confrontations with herself empower or break her? The path ahead was ambiguous, but she was determined to keep pushing, even if the road remained tangled and daunting ahead. Lucy's resolve lingered in her mind like a haunting melody, a constant reminder of her new path and the choices that lay ahead. She replayed her presentation in detail, not allowing the applause to drown out the sensations rippling beneath the surface. Was that exhilaration or anxiety wrapping around her chest like a vice? In every triumph, she sensed the simultaneous tug of her insecurities. As days progressed, the meetings with Alex's team became more complex, each conversation layered with the expectations she placed on herself. She persevered through critiques and praise alike, redirecting the intense energy from her insecurities outward, channeling it into preparation and strategy. Yet with every success, the voice of self-doubt nagged at her. Even the briefest flicker of self-acceptance was met with the counterweight of fear. She worked late into the nights, poring over corporate reports and crafting proposals that would resonate with the team. Yet in the diner, for every late slip into worn-out routine, the glances of her coworkers varied. Some looked proud, others were inexplicably distant. What did they see? The girl who stood behind the counter or the professional she was becoming? The dichotomy of how she was perceived weighed heavy, tangled with her need for approval from those she admired. Days turned into weeks, and a meeting loomed a pivotal pitch to senior executives. Her role was more prominent now, the mentor-mentee dynamic evolving into a collaborative partnership with Alex. The day before the meeting, a moment came that would test her like never before. As they prepared in Alex's office, he handed her a folder. "You're ready for this, Lucy. I believe in you." The words, meant to encourage, invaded her thoughts, amplifying her insecurities. Did he see her as capable or merely a project? At once, the lines between their professional and personal relationship blurred. She excused herself, stepping out for a breath of air. The adrenaline surged in her veins, and doubt sprinted alongside it, a race she feared she would lose. Standing on a balcony overlooking the city, she felt the wind whip past her, pulling her thoughts into a whirlwind. She needed clarity. She opened her phone to see a text from Mia, bursting with excitement about a potential internship. It reminded her of the praise she had received just a few days prior, how she had nearly crushed her fear when presenting before the team. Couldn't she let that vision of empowerment invigorate her instead of overwhelming her? Returning to the office, she faced Alex, attempting to mask her turmoil with a semblance of control. "I appreciate your faith in me," she said, striving for steadiness. "You've earned it, Lucy." "Don't doubt yourself," he replied softly, a sincerity in his tone. But his belief seemed to elevate her fears simultaneously. If he believed in her potential, did that mean he was layering expectations on her that she felt too small to meet? The next day, she stood before the executive suite, armed with her research and frontline insights, yet every heart-thumping second pulled at her confidence. As she began, her voice wavered slightly, but she pushed through, pouring her experiences into every word. She leaned into her passion for healthcare, using personal anecdotes that connected her roots to the corporate vision aimed at making a difference. The moment she sensed engagement from the audience, a switch flipped inside her. The meeting finished with applause that felt real. But the weight of acceptance hung heavily, tangled with the fear of judgment. Did they applaud out of courtesy, or had she truly captured their attention? Just then, she caught Alex's eye again. Just as she braved a smile, he motioned for her to step outside where the energy still buzzed in the air. "Lucy," he said, his tone shifting to a mix of professionalism and intimacy, "that was remarkable. You've come so far in such a short time." But those words struck her like a blare of a siren. What if I can't keep it up? What if they won't accept the real me? She couldn't shake the thought. Was this gradual resilience all an act? Shouldn't she reflect the truth of her struggles to prove her worth? As she looked into Alex's hopeful eyes, she felt the tension building again, the looming fear that those truths she suppressed would collapse this precarious structure she was building. She was on the brink and had to decide. Could she unveil the deeper parts of herself, the raw insecurities wrapped around her growing ambitions? The question hung in the air like an unresolved chord, reverberating deeper than the applause. Was it finally time to face the truth of who she was? And with that, the unfolding story of her identity took a dramatic turn as yet another meeting approached, this time, not just with the executives, but a long-awaited dinner with Alex looming ahead, a date that would blur the lines of business and personal growth even further. How would she confront the realities of her duality now? Lucy paced the hallway outside her apartment, the echoes of her heartbeat matching the rapid tempo of her thoughts. The evening with Alex blurred the lines of their professional relationship in ways that both thrilled and terrified her. She couldn't shake the feeling that this dinner would reveal something fundamental about her, the stark contrast between the ambitious professional she had become and the girl who had spent years feeling invisible and inadequate. She pulled out her phone, hesitant to check the time, knowing Alex would soon arrive. As she scrolled through her messages, a pang of self-doubt coiled tightly in her stomach. Mia's cheerful enthusiasm felt worlds away from her current turmoil. She realized she had let her insecurities overshadow the excitement of her recent accomplishments. Hadn't she just delivered a pitch that surpassed even her own expectations? Yet, here she was, wrestling with the specter of doubt. Minutes later, a knock on the door jolted her back to reality. With shaky hands, she smoothed down her dress, catching her reflection in the hallway mirror. The girl staring back looked confident, yet she could feel the familiar tremors of self-doubt lurking beneath her exterior. Lucy took a deep breath and opened the door to find Alex looking sharp in a tailored suit, his smile warm and genuine, instantly easing some of her anxiousness. "Ready to go?" he asked, and she nodded, her throat suddenly dry. The transition from colleagues to something more personal set off a whirlwind of emotions inside her. As they walked through the city streets, lights flickering and people bustling around them, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Conversations flowed naturally between them, laughter dissolved tension, and for the first time in what felt like ages, Lucy allowed herself to be present, caught in the moment rather than preoccupied with her fears. The restaurant they arrived at was upscale, yet inviting. The ambience enveloped them like a soft embrace, with candlelight casting a warm glow across the tables. Lucy chose to momentarily push aside her doubts and engage with Alex fully. They shared stories, discovered mutual interests, and she unexpectedly felt oddly liberated expressing her views. Her passion for healthcare and aspirations began to surface freely, unencumbered by the shadows of self-doubt. Yet as the evening progressed, she glimpsed something deeper in Alex's intent gaze. Was it admiration, or was he merely being polite? Just as she began to lean into the connection that was blossoming between them, an undeniable fear peeked through once again. What if he only saw her through the lens of his expectations? After the meal, they wandered into a nearby park. A quiet moment enveloped them, the sounds of the city fading into the background. Alex turned to her, his expression serious now. "Lucy, I need you to know that what I believe in goes beyond your work. I've seen your potential, but I want to understand who you truly are, beneath the layers of expectation." Her heart raced, but she felt exposed. "And what if who I am isn't what you're looking for?" He took a step closer. "Then I wouldn't be worth your time, would I? But I see something in you that's more than just a performer. You have substance. This facade," he gestured lightly, "it doesn't define you. What defines you is your passion and authenticity." Lucy fought to swallow the lump forming in her throat. Authenticity. It was a term that resonated, yet felt hauntingly out of reach. For every step forward she took in her career, 2 steps backward felt inevitable when facing her genuine self. Could she truly intertwine her professional advances with the delicate threads of her vulnerable core? Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a sudden realization washed over her. She was at a crossroads, standing on the threshold of opening herself up to Alex, or retreating behind the walls she had constructed. Could this be the moment she abandoned her fears and embraced who she was, insecurities and all? Just then, a flicker of realization ignited in her. She held more power than she realized, and it started with acceptance of her own duality. And just as she poised herself to speak, her phone buzzed, breaking the electric tension that had built between them. It was a text from Mia, hinting at surprising news about the internship opportunity. The breath she had been holding caught in her chest, drawing her focus back to the unexpected place her evening had taken. Would her answer to Alex now change the trajectory of not just this dinner, but her whole future? When she glanced back up at him, confidence steadily returning, she knew the time had come for her to face what lay ahead. What new revelations awaited her beyond the simple truths she had clung to? The vibrant city lights around them seemed to flicker in sync with Lucy's racing thoughts. The buzz of the park offered a sharp contrast to the charged atmosphere that enveloped her and Alex. He continued to watch her, his expression unreadable, but within it, she saw a thread of curiosity and investment. Was it really possible for him to see her as more than she perceived herself to be? With a deep breath, she glanced at the phone in her hand, the text from Mia still nagging at her consciousness. The prospect of the internship loomed large, an opportunity that could redefine her professional trajectory. But at that moment, the real question was how much of herself she was willing to invest in her relationship with Alex, something that felt as precarious as balancing on a tightrope over a vast abyss. "You know," she began, her voice slightly trembling but gaining strength with each word, "I've spent so long focusing on what others want me to be. The driven professional, the smart employee, but underneath all the ambition, I often feel like I'm just acting. Like if I stripped away the layers, I wouldn't know what's left." Alex studied her intently, as if weighing her words. "What if you let me in? I think you'd be surprised at what you find," he said softly. His sincerity wrapped around her like a warm blanket, inviting but demanding vulnerability. Her heartbeat quickened. This was a defining moment, the crux of her struggle, choice between retreating back to her comfort zone or stepping forward into an unpredictable future. With each second, she felt her facade threatening to crack, revealing deeper fears but also the tantalizing possibilities that awaited her. "I want to explore that with you," Lucy admitted. The admission felt like a leap from the edge of a cliff into untamed waters below. "But, I need to know, can you see me like I see you?" "Yes," he replied quickly. "But it's not just about how I see you. It's about how you see yourself. The woman you are in your core, in your heart, she's the one I'm really interested in." Lucy's chest tightened at the realization that the battle she faced was not solely against perceptions or expectations but against her own self-worth. Could she present her authentic self and risk rejection? As she considered this, an unexpected wave of determination swept through her. A small voice nudged her towards embracing the very identity she had sidelined for so long. Just as she found the courage to dive deeper into their conversation, Lucy's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from Mia. Hesitating, she glanced up at Alex, uncertainty washing over her. The moment felt fragile, as if the universe was challenging her once again. "It's Mia," she said, her voice thin. "She might have news." "Answer it," Alex urged. "But decide what's more important right now. What you're willing to share about yourself or the pursuit of something that may distract you from what's actually happening here." His words hovered in the air. She could feel the weight of his gaze penetrating her defenses. The temptation to answer the call loomed in her mind, the chance to explore the possibilities of a prestigious internship against the opportunity to unveil herself completely to Alex. Lucy took another deep breath, deliberating between two significant paths. Exploring one could mean leaving the other behind. The push and pull of her ambitions versus her emotional exposure encased her in a cloud of uncertainty. "Okay," she said, her voice growing firm, "I think it's time to make a choice." As she glanced back at her phone, she saw Mia's name flashing on the screen alongside Alex's, earnest eyes piercing through her doubt. For the first time, she felt the weight of her potential, not just the professional dream, but the personal truth waiting to be discovered. The words hung in the air as she prepared to make a decision. What new chapters of her life awaited on the other side of that call? Lucy's heart raced as she stared at the screen, the choice weighing heavily in her mind. The phone buzzed again, pulling her from the brink of her contemplation, and she felt as if the air between her and Alex had grown thicker, charged with anticipation. "Lucy," Alex said, his voice steady and calm, "whatever you decide, just remember that you're not alone in this. You have more strength than you realize." His words wrapped around her, offering comfort, but also amplifying her internal conflict. Should she seize this professional opportunity that could catapult her career, or should she risk exposing her vulnerable self to Alex? With a final deep breath, she set her jaw. Her finger hovered over the screen. The internship could be a gateway to everything she had ever dreamed of, a position that could elevate her to new professional heights. Yet, the prospect of being transparent with Alex was an intoxicating lure that felt just as significant. "Maybe this is why I've held myself back all this time," she thought. What if this was the moment that would shift everything? Maybe it wasn't solely about the call, it was about her willingness to let herself be seen in all her complexity. In that moment of contemplation, she could feel the walls she had carefully constructed start to tremble. Can I call her back? She asked herself, her mind racing through several scenarios. Each one exploded with both fear and excitement. A hand brushed against hers, startling her. Alex shifted closer, his warmth a grounding presence that seemed to soften the harsh edges of her dilemma. I can't make this decision for you, but trust yourself, he murmured. Lucy blinked, feeling a swell of emotion rise as she realized how much his side of her authentic self mattered. It was no longer just about her, it was about crafting a life in which she engaged fully, whether in her professional aspirations or personal connections. I have to take this call, she said finally, her voice steadier than she anticipated. It was a decision wrapped in clarity. But I'm not just doing this for the internship. I need to be honest with Mia, too. She swiped to answer, the rush of adrenaline mixing with a sense of purpose that was now firmly anchored in her core. Mia. Lucy. Mia's voice came through, excited yet impatient. You'll never guess what happened. I've got news about the internship. As Mia excitedly rambled on about details, Lucy tuned in and out, feeling the ecstatic thrill of possibility. Yet, underneath the buzz, a part of her was cementing her commitment to herself. She wanted growth not just in her career but also in her emotional life, in embracing who she truly was. After a few moments, she cut Mia off gently, needing both to rein in her friend's exuberance and clarify that this call wasn't just about professional prospects but about choices that would influence her deeper journey. I appreciate the updates, but I need to know something first. What does this internship really mean? Is it worth the sacrifice of my authentic self? Can I still keep that truth intact? There was a pause on the other end that felt infinite. Mia finally responded, her tone more measured. I think you need to go after what you want, but don't let it consume you. Your validation should come from you, not just from a title or a job. Lucy absorbed those words, those admonitions, feeling them settle deep within her. Thank you, Mia. That's what I needed to hear. As she hung up, she looked at Alex. The atmosphere had shifted, no longer heavy with indecision but charged with urgency. I feel ready, she admitted, her voice low but confident. Ready for what? He asked, leaning in, his curiosity piqued. Ready to figure out who I am beyond the job I crave, Lucy revealed. It's time I start understanding what my authentic path looks like both in my work and in my relationships. She could see a flicker of approval in Alex's eyes, and it sent a spark of warmth through her. Yet, beneath it lay an urgency. She was aware that this new chapter also implied confrontations, moments of clarity, and the possibility of unraveling deeply rooted fears. As excitement and fear danced together within her, Lucy knew one thing for certain: she had thrown open the door to her unknown potential. A new journey awaited, one that promised both challenges and discoveries. Before we dive into that, Alex suggested, breaking the silence growing between them, you said something about exploration. Does that mean you're willing to embrace some risk? The question hovered, underscoring the path that lay ahead. Lucy took a breath, feeling the powerful rush of uncharted territory awaiting her discovery. Yes, she replied resolutely. It's time to embrace whatever comes next. But just as determination solidified her resolve, her phone buzzed again. The name flashing on the screen sent a jolt through her. Mia again? Or was it a call from someone unexpected? Whatever the answer, she could sense that her journey to true self-discovery was just beginning, even as the world around her brimmed with suspense. What new challenges awaited her on this path of authenticity? Lucy's eyes remained glued to her phone, the buzzing sensation reverberating in her chest. The moment felt monumental, a tectonic shift in her reality. She inhaled sharply. It might be Mia again, spiraling down more details about the internship that could redefine her future. Or it could be a distinct, unexpected voice on the other line, one that could very well redirect her path entirely. "Are you going to answer that?" Alex's voice sliced through her musings, bringing her back to the present. His brow was slightly furrowed, concern and curiosity dancing in those piercing eyes. Lucy realized her internal landscape had changed, the stakes had just escalated. With one more shaky breath, she swiped to accept the call. "Hello?" she said, the word carrying an apprehension tinged with anticipation. "Lucy." The voice was familiar yet unexpected. It was Mr. Harper, the CEO of the firm she had interviewed with 2 weeks ago. Her heart quickened. "I hope I'm not calling at a bad time." "No, not at all. This is actually quite an unexpected surprise," she replied, trying to project calmness despite the sudden flutter of anxiety that rippled through her. Mr. Harper continued, his tone professional but warm. "I wanted to discuss your application and whether you would be available for a second interview. We are impressed with your qualifications and would like to explore your potential further. We believe you could bring a fresh perspective to our team." Her mind raced at the implications. A second interview? This was the moment many only dreamed of. Yet, in the back of her mind, the question lingered, at what cost? Suddenly, everything felt weighty yet ephemeral, as if she stood on the brink of a high cliff. "I would love to," she managed to say, her voice betraying none of her inner turmoil. "I'm available anytime this week." "Fantastic. I'll have my assistant reach out to finalize the details. And Lucy, I want to emphasize that what we're looking for goes beyond your resume. We want authenticity and individuality. Bring your true self to the table," he stated, a hint of sincerity surfacing. As she hung up, the surreal weight of the call set in. Alex's gaze pierced her thoughts. "What just happened?" he asked, evident exhilaration in his voice. "I got a second interview with Mr. Harper," she said, the reality washing over her in waves. It was exhilarating yet terrifying, like when you're standing at the edge of a diving board, staring down at the water below. "That's amazing. This is the opportunity you've been waiting for." "I'm proud of you," he praised, his voice filled with encouragement. "Proud of me for what?" "For stepping closer to a threshold where I might lose myself pretending to be someone I'm not," she challenged, frustration creeping into her tone. Alex furrowed his brows. "Lucy, that's not it at all. They've clearly seen potential in you, but now comes the most crucial part. You need to find a way to interweave your authenticity into this role." She pondered over his words, captivated by the notion he presented. In the glow of possibility, she began to visualize how she could integrate her true essence into a world that often demanded conformity. It was a delicate balancing act. Blending ambition with integrity would not only strengthen her career but also fortify her sense of self. "Are you willing to show them who you really are?" he pushed gently, nudging her towards a revelation. Lucy gripped the edge of her seat, the thought both thrilling and daunting. "I want to be that person," she confessed, her voice softening. "But what if they don't accept that? What if I put myself out there and it doesn't resonate?" "Then you'll find a way to thrive elsewhere," he countered firmly. "But you owe it to yourself to be authentic. This is your chance to rediscover parts of you that may have been muted. Don't let fear dictate your journey." His words unlocked something deep within her, igniting embers of determination she had long suppressed. "Maybe this role can be a springboard for my growth rather than a constraint. Maybe I can redefine what success looks like for me." She could feel clarity washing over her like a fresh wave. While the call from Mr. Harper loomed larger than life, she was reminded that this was only one piece of the larger puzzle. Was she ready to embrace the authenticity that shaped the workforce and her life? As Lucy squared her shoulders, she felt an unfamiliar sense of empowerment tinged with anxiety. Her phone buzzed once more, this time, a reminder for the initial interview preparation she had set earlier that week. A trail of urgency danced through her as she glanced at that screen. "I'm ready for this. But as she turned back to Alex, a thought sparked a flicker of worry. What would happen when she faced the unforgiving realities of the corporate world, armed with her newfound commitment to authenticity? And even more pressing, could she truly balance both her professional aspirations and the vulnerability that came from relationships, as she delved deeper into these dual aspects of her identity? Tomorrow would reveal a new chapter in her journey, a crossroads where the necessary choices would invite her to confront profound truths about herself, both in the boardroom and her heart. The real challenge awaited her just around the corner, and she felt the weight of both excitement and dread settle into her bones. With her heart pounding in anticipation, Lucy could only wonder what the day would bring. Would she sink or swim into this brave new world? The next day dawned with an uneasy mix of excitement and uncertainty swirling in Lucy's stomach. She could almost feel the tension in the air vibrating around her as she read over her notes for the interview, each word imbued with the weight of possibility. Her preparation seemed tactical, her mind racing with strategies and outcomes, yet a deeper question lingered beneath the surface: could she truly convey her authentic self while aiming for such a pivotal role? On the train to the firm's office, she wrestled with the notion of being her true self. What did that even mean in a sea of polished presentations and corporate etiquette? The rhythm of the train mirrored her rapid heartbeat, a reminder of her growing anxiety. Ever since Mr. Harper had urged her to show authenticity, a part of her felt liberated, while another felt vulnerable. As she stepped off the train, the city buzzed with its usual energy. The towering skyscrapers loomed overhead, reflecting the sunlight in harsh whites and yellows. This world seemed so detached from her simpler upbringing, a world where ambition often eclipsed individualism. Was she ready to stand firm amidst the corporate tide, or would she dissolve into another nondescript face in the crowd? Lucy entered the building, her posture straightening as she approached the reception desk. Her palms were clammy as she issued her name for the security check-in, but she managed to maintain a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. After a few moments, she was escorted to a waiting area adorned with sleek modern furnishings, each detail meticulously curated. Sitting there, she tried to visualize how her authenticity could shine amidst such grandeur. Would her passion for creative problem-solving be enough? Did they want her to share her dreams, or would that be perceived as naive? As she waited, she felt the pressure of scrutiny tightening around her. As the clock ticked closer to the interview time, her inner dialogue shifted. She recalled Alex's encouragement, an anchor against the tide of self-doubt. She had every right to take her place at the table. This role could be a canvas for her potential, a chance to paint her career with the vibrant colors of her individuality. When the door opened, Mr. Harper stepped into the room, his presence commanding yet approachable. Behind him stood two senior executives, their expressions unreadable. Lucy rose to greet them, shaking hands with confident grace despite the tremor of anticipation coursing through her. "Thank you all for this opportunity," she began, her voice steady. Mr. Harper smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling with sincerity. "Let us dive in, shall we?" he said, inviting her to seat herself at the round table that felt more like an arena. As the conversation flowed, Lucy chose her words deliberately, weaving personal anecdotes into her responses, a reflection of her experiences, her challenges, her growth. The executives exchanged glances, a flicker of interest igniting in their expressions. "Your perspective is refreshing," one of the executives remarked. "It's clear you've thought deeply about our industry's direction." Encouraged, Lucy pressed on, highlighting how her background instilled her with a unique lens through which she viewed challenges in the corporate landscape. She could sense the shift, the warmth radiating through the doubt that had earlier clouded her confidence. Just as she felt she had found her rhythm, Mr. Harper leaned in, probing deeper. "But tell us, Lucy, what do you consider your greatest weakness?" The question landed like a stone in a calm pond, rippling through her thoughts. She took a moment, bracing herself. "I've often felt that my passion can be perceived as excessive, even naive. I worry it might not align with the more traditional expectations of corporate culture." The silence that followed was heavy, the executives deliberating her vulnerability. Would they appreciate the honesty, or would they see it as a flaw? Her heart raced, but the moment felt pivotal. Mr. Harper nodded thoughtfully. Acknowledging that is a strength in itself. It's vital to recognize one's potential limitations. As they continued to discuss, Lucy felt a current of connection forming. Her authenticity began to resonate, but she couldn't shake the lingering apprehension. Was it enough? Just as she shared her final thoughts, she noticed a spark of excitement flicker in Mr. Harper's eyes. You've given us a lot to think about. And I want to reinforce the notion that we are indeed looking for someone who can invigorate our team with their unique perspective. The interview concluded before she could fully absorb what had just transpired. As she walked out of the building, she felt exhilarated and exhausted, a paradox entwined within her. She had let bits of herself come to light, yet the question of acceptance still loomed. Lucy stepped outside, the chilly air a stark contrast to the warmth of the building. As she took a deep breath, clarity washed over her once more. Perhaps this was not just about landing the position, it was a broader invitation for growth, a defining moment in her journey toward authenticity. Yet as she made her way to the train station, a sudden realization struck her with both dread and determination. What if the very authenticity she cherished set a path toward rejection? Was she ready to embrace that possibility for the sake of true alignment with her values? With her mind racing, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that her journey was just beginning. She was about to discover not just what they thought of her, but what she truly thought of herself. And as the train's rumble echoed around her, a new question arose: would she be willing to confront possible rejection, and in doing so, redefine success in her own terms? Lucy awoke the next morning with clarity enveloping her like a warm embrace. The weight of yesterday's interview still lingered, but instead of anxiety, she felt empowered. She knew now that her journey extended beyond merely securing a position, it was about nurturing her true self amidst ambition. With renewed determination, she took her time preparing for the day ahead, choosing an outfit that made her feel both confident and authentic, an outward reflection of her inner transformation. As she arrived at the diner for her shift, the familiar sights and sounds ignited memories of her relentless hustle. But in that moment, she didn't feel diminished by her environment. Instead, she felt an invigorating sense of agency. No longer was she solely Lucy, the waitress caught in her routine. She was Lucy, the aspiring nurse determined to impact the healthcare industry and the advocate uncovering her potential. Her co-workers greeted her with smiles that felt different today, less like the amused acknowledgement of her industriousness and more like reciprocating connections beyond the counter. During a slow morning, Lucy found herself in conversation with Clara, a fellow waitress who often mused about missed opportunities. "I just wish I could finish my degree, but it feels impossible," Clara sighed, her gaze cast downwards. In that moment, Lucy's conviction crystallized. "Clara, you can do it. It's not too late," she encouraged, feeling the words resonate well past her own aspirations. "We have more power than we realize to design the lives we want, no matter where we start from. You're capable of so much more." Clara's eyes widened slightly, and for the first time, Lucy felt herself take on an unexpected mentor role, igniting dreams in someone else that had once flickered within her. The day's heaviness began to lift, an unfolding sensation of clarity that intensified as her shift progressed. With every plate served and every smile exchanged, she felt the paradox of her identity, one foot in the world of gritty, hard-earned experience, and the other stepping into her aspirations. When her shift ended, a message from Mia lit up her phone, diverting Lucy's focus back to the currents of her own journey. "Congrats on the interview. I told you they'd see your potential. Let us celebrate tonight." The invitation thrummed with excitement and possibility, and without hesitation, Lucy replied affirmatively. As evening descended, bright city lights glimmered, reflecting the newfound vibrancy in her life. Arriving at the bar where Mia awaited, Lucy was welcomed with exuberance and a tight hug. The warmth of her support felt like armor against any remnants of self-doubt. "You're stepping into your power, girl," Mia exclaimed, her excitement contagious. As they sat sipping drinks, Lucy realized she was no longer holding back. She recounted her experiences, how she had embraced vulnerability in the interview, a first for her, yet exhilarating. Each word she shared held the weight of her recent decisions and growing ambitions. "Wow," Mia said, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "That's exactly what they need. A fresh perspective rooted in authenticity. I'm proud of you for taking that leap." With each moment of reflection, something shifted within Lucy. She wasn't the girl who had once doubted her worthiness or hidden behind her responsibilities. She was evolving, a dynamic force in the making. Recent conversations echoed in her mind. The willingness to risk rejection, to expose herself fully, brought unprecedented potential for growth. As laughter bubbled between them, her thoughts drifted toward Alex. Their connection had sparked something significant in her, offering a glimpse of both professional and personal entwinement. She could navigate the complexities of ambition and relationship, a duality she hadn't known could coexist. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. It was a message from Alex, "Thinking of you. Hope you're having a great night." His words sent a warmth through her chest, an appreciation for the support he had offered throughout her journey. "Are you thinking about him?" Mia asked playfully, nudging her with a mischievous wink. "Maybe," Lucy replied coyly, unsure if today's growth allowed her to embrace romantic connections alongside her aspirations. "We'll see how that unfolds." Later that night, as she settled into bed, a wave of calm washed over her. Lucy pondered her next steps with both trepidation and excitement. The possibilities felt endless, yet her attachment to her authenticity solidified. She committed to remaining true to herself, no matter the circumstance. What lay ahead was unpredictable, both daunting and liberating. She had learned that success wasn't merely about achieving goals but about creating a narrative that embraced her whole self. Facing her fears with unwavering resolve had transformed her path toward resilience, no longer hidden behind her achievements but boldly defined by them. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities and challenges. No matter what awaited her, she would take that step with confidence, for she had finally anchored her self-worth in authenticity. As sleep embraced her, Lucy realized she had not just achieved a milestone, she had rewritten her own story, stepping into her power as Lucy Parker, advocate, aspiring nurse, and a woman unafraid to embrace love and ambition in unison. This was merely the beginning, and the horizon now gleamed with all she had yet to explore, both within herself and the world beyond. You need to subscribe to the channel now to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let your voice be heard. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Let us spark a discussion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us build a community of true fans of personal overcoming stories.